what's up, everybody? Storyteller was having a couple of technical issues. I'm covering down for him just as he makes sure he's ready. Storyteller, before you go on here, real quick, I want to say to everybody here as we go into the third year of Heart and Soul Promotions, thank you to the fans. Thank you to the performers. Thank you to everybody that stood by with us now, going on 3 years, our third year show. And thank you to all the promo artists for turning all their stuff in timely because they do it to entertain you. Storyteller, thank you for that time. The show is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayhem, Mr. President. This is this week's episode of The Pulse, just ahead of Year 3, Fine Leather. I am joined, as always, by this motley crew. Introducing Prince Blackheart. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing absolutely fine.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. As always, we like to start off the show with this week's burning question. My question I will pose to you this week is, do you think that a territory system could work today?
Oh.
Your thoughts, sir?
It could, in theory, but due to the monopoly of the media, it would be a lot harder.
I think so.
Like, if you think about it, you still have a loose form of territory. You got Impact, you have GCW, you have AEW, you have WWE, you have Noah Pro Wrestling. So a loose form of a world territory is already out there.
Okay.
Just with the different platforms that you can actually watch it on now, i.e. the internet, YouTube, even OVW, that you don't really hear much about. Do weekly shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
With the actual person who runs it now. A legend in his own right, Al Snow.
Yeah.
You got that on YouTube. You got New Pro Japan on Fight TV. And there's plenty of platforms that you could do a territorial system on. Just, it would be hard to make it as successful.
Okay, let me stop you right there for just a second because we are joined by our current reigning, defending Pure Heart champion, Old School. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you all?
Doing great, sir.
Welcome, sir, and I will see you soon.
I wouldn't get real excited about that.
On your burning question, Storyteller, I think it's actually a pretty interesting one. Prince Blackheart brought a different thought to this because when I envision territory system, I picture it all under one banner, and I actually for about 2 years put together if WWE were to territorialize. The logic being that while territories run off small shows, most small shows are bad shows. Not all of them, but most are bad shows. There are a few out there, such as MCW, Maryland Championship Wrestling is a very strong producer that has put out a lot of big talent that's made it to the E. Texas All-Star Wrestling, where I did a lot of my wrestling, produced guys like Hernandez and got Necro Butcher national exposure. So, and a lot of other people that live in the Houston area like to come to All-Star to work. So it wouldn't kill all of them, but it would get rid of some of them, and it would give variety if you did it under the WWE banner of you. Instead of having a SmackDown champ and a Raw champ, you can have a World champ, and it moves all around, and then each territory can have their own. But I think Prince Blackheart made it interesting that it's a territory system from the standpoint of they just don't have a national board that decides who's the champion and moves it around. So that's an interesting way to look at it that I hadn't thought of.
That is very thought-provoking. Old school. This week's burning question. Do you think a territory system could work today? What's your thoughts?
No. And here's the reason why. Back then, there was a universal concept. When you had the NWA, you had, which Mayhem brought up, you had a board that would decide who would be your next world champion. So if Ric Flair's a champion and Mayhem's his next opponent, and the board says, you know what, I think it'd be great for Mayhem to represent the NWA all over the world, well, then those votes came to pass and the match would happen. Mayhem would be your new NWA champion. The problem with today is we have so many different entities that don't want to work together, okay? You've seen this week, you have Tony Khan taking shots at WWE, subtle shots taken by WWE to Tony Khan. You know what I mean? Here's the problem with that. And this is going to sound real rhetorical too. It'll remind you a lot of the promo realm, because in the promo realm, I feel like we're territories, okay? Because, you know, we're HSP, and then you've got many other, you know, entities out there. If we would have one traveling world champion between the three of you guys right here, if we would have one traveling world champion, do you think there could ever be a universal decision of who should be that champion from an organization? I don't think it could happen, because you have so many different, you know, personas and people and their beliefs and their judgings are, you know, different in different places, which will happen in the territories today if you try to do that. You know, WWE's never going to agree with Tony Khan. Tony Khan's never going to go, oh, yeah, that Triple H, he's a great guy. I agree with him. He should be the champion. So I don't think it would work today, because the biggest problem is everybody thinks they're the best. And the sad thing is, I think we truly missed the whole roundabout aspect of what happened back in the 80s. Everybody loved wrestling. You know why? Everybody kind of stayed in their lane. We had our territories. Ric Flair, you know, dominated for so long. But look how easily it was for him to put over Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ronnie Garvin, guys like that, to become champion, that, not being mean to Vince, but Vince probably wouldn't have seen as world heavyweight champion. Okay. And I think that's what we would have the same way today. It wouldn't diverse from back then, but it could never work today.
Yeah, but I can even give a prime example. I can give a prime example where you go in there, Prince Blackheart, about promo world not working together. Do you know how many promo leagues go, oh, Mayhem and Quack, those wrestler guys that don't belong here?
Yep, I know quite a few that maybe stick in the mud like that. But going back to what I said, to a degree, we have a territory, because if you look at it, most wrestling federations now, AEW being a prime example.
Let me interrupt you for a second, Prince Blackheart, because we are joined by my tag team partner, none other than Half-Ass Black. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How y'all?
Doing good, doing good. All right. Sorry about that, Prince Black. Go ahead and continue.
Because AEW is a good example of that. Because, okay, they took over ROH. But before they took it over, they were working with them. They're working with, if I remember rightly, some Mexican
Triple A.
companies.
Triple A.
AAA.
AAA. They're working with Noah over in Japan.
Stardom.
So in a way, they have got a territory system. So it can work. Just it'll be a lot harder nowadays for it to be like that. But as federations of with federations, the territory type system hasn't really gone away. It's just became more global.
Okay. All right. Half past black. This week's burning question: do you think that a territory system could work today? What's your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm gonna say no, and it's because of the exposure as far as YouTube and all these other clips. Because, like, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So the whole format behind territories was more or less so you can get your craft right before you was sold to the public. So you can figure out what works and what don't work, so you can play into the crowds. The only problem with now is that it's hard to just keep stuff private. Like, it's so hard. Like
But then
there's no kayfabe no more.
I think you'd spend more time in the boardroom trying to decide who the champion should be because of all the arguments between, promotions. You know what I mean? You would lose a lot of the story. If me and Half Past Black were tag team champions in WCW, what's the first thing Vince McMahon does when we go to WWF? He changes our names. Okay. Why is that? Because he's territorial by who he's created. So he's never going to say Half Past Black, a WCW World Heavyweight Champion, is going to win the world title because he never created him. You get what I'm saying? So you're always going to have that. He's like the dog peeing on the tree. Another dog might pee on that tree, but guess what? Me and Half Past Black, we're going to walk over here and pee on it too because we want to be top dog. You know what I mean? It's not. That's why the territory thing couldn't work today because so many damn higher ups, the egos are never ever going to let a superstar from somebody else's place be the traveling world champion. You know what I mean? I just don't. I don't think it's conceivable these days.
Do I think? I think it's needed.
But then ain't AEW doing that because who's?
Yeah, but AEW is not sending a wrestler over to WWF right now or WWE and defending their world title.
But they are sending them over to Japan.
That's Japan. We're talking worldwide. A world champion. Ric Flair used to go to every single organization. Georgia Championship Wrestling, the NWA. He even appeared on Worldwide Wrestling, Vince McMahon's show, as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Nobody is going to do that today because the WWE will never allow it.
I think if I was to answer my own question, I would tend to agree that, I guess it would depend on your perspective. In a sense, New Japan, they've got their stuff. It's in there. So in a global sense, there are territories, each country has their own, in a sense. On a more local level, on a more national level, no. I don't think
it wouldn't.
There's too much competition for, very, limited.
Mayhem and myself have been in the professional wrestling business in the indies areas. And Mayhem himself knows it's sometimes it's very rare for even an independent organization to let another champion come in and win their title. You know what I mean? Because you're safeguarding your territory. So you know what I mean? To have a world champion do that would be crazy these days.
No,
I'd love to see it.
I agree with you on that. Nationally, it would be inconceivable.
On a local level, though, I believe. I mean, if we're talking territory in the sense of where your shows take place, your area, I think they can, because I think if an indie company, if any really any wrestling company for that matter, where you really make your money, it's not TV anymore unless you're WWE or AEW and you have that
Certainly.
televised. But as far as, weekly shows, non-televised, that can, play to smaller audiences and cater the shows to smaller audiences, I think that is, necessary.
Sadly, back in the day, the Crockett's had it by the balls when they did every Saturday morning on TBS. They were making money hand over foot because that crowd of 150 people, that's what was paying their talents weekly. They didn't even worry about, house shows and stuff like that. So, I think if the NWA, Billy Corgan, is going to do what he says he's going to do, he's going to go around to, multiple indie promotions and put them under the umbrella of the NWA, that could be your territory. You get what I'm saying? But it would be an NWA territory. Nobody's going to recognize it. You know what I mean? In WWE or AEW as a world heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that I do agree with, because let's face it, WWE are nothing but egotistical.
And like I said earlier, even if all five of us on this screen right now were top draws, and I'm using WCW, just because we're top draws in WCW, that don't never guarantee when you went to WWE you were going to be a top draw. You know what I mean? Because Vince he might have told Prince Blackheart, I hate the word Blackheart, you're not going to be that anymore, and he would have ended up with a crappy gimmick. Look at Barry Windham. He was the Widowmaker. We all knew it was Barry Windham, but they called him the Widowmaker.
I got one better, mind you. Stone Cold, Triple H, and the Undertaker, they were nobodies at WCW.
Right?
Nobodies.
True.
Mind you, they literally told the Undertaker he would never draw a fucking dime in this business.
Yep.
The Undertaker.
Mm.
Yep.
It's all about.
Well, I'll say this. Oh, go ahead, George. You were still talking. I'm sorry.
Well, it all falls down to structure and how they see you, whatever light you shine on. To be honest,
But then, sorry for interrupting, but then look on the flip side of that. You had a diamond of a wrestler in Karrion Kross in NXT. What did they do to the poor geezer as soon as he went up to the main shows? They got him dressed up like some kind of BDSM blowing.
He was Farouk Assad 2.0.
And Prince Blackheart hit something really, really good there too. And I'm going to use what just came out yesterday and even today. I'm sorry, them changing Brian Pillman Jr.'s name, that's a slap in the face of Brian Pillman. I don't care. I don't like it. You know what I mean? I understand they're going with the whole, he was never really around, Brian Pillman Jr., but that's a legacy he could have lived off of. You know what I mean? Okay. I just don't agree with that.
All right, hit me out with that. That was I've been reading up on that. That was Brian Pillman's choice. It's tribute to his mother and his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, trust me, one thing about WWE, just like the same thing with Ava, they would want you to use their names just so they can make, just so the promoters can make money off of the third generation's names. You see what I'm saying? Like
I just don't like it. You know what I mean? I'm old school for real. I don't like it at all. Oh, yeah. That's like taking Hulk Hogan and renaming Terry Bollea going to WCW. It wouldn't have made sense. I just don't get it.
And I wasn't a fan of Curtis Axel either.
Me either.
I would have liked him to have been Hennig.
Yes.
Because if they're going to put over, he's a second generation.
And on top of that, he was using his dad's music, pretty much his dad's ring set. You know what I mean? His move set. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? But hey, listen, George makes a great, compelling, argument that some stars went over there that weren't shit anywhere else, and Vince made them something. I agree with that. My problem is sometimes the superstars they bring in, like superstars, they kind of bury them because they were so. Look what they did to Sting. Sorry, I don't think Sting's run in WWE was very good. I thought it was lackadaisical. I thought it was horrible. Yeah. They should have been Undertaker versus Sting. Everybody wanted it, and nobody ever got it. So I think they miss their opportunities sometimes with some great athletes.
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I felt like Sting was over the freaking hill when he finally got to WWE. He
Right.
really had no business really competing against like a Seth Rollins. That he needed something slow paced, something.
I thought him and the Undertaker would have worked a great program, dude. Because the Undertaker was still dealing with some ailments. Yes, he could still go, but he could have slowed it down for Sting, and that match would have looked really, really good.
But then if you look at like how past Frank said about the superstars he did make, how many superstars he brought in and has actually destroyed them.
Yep. Well, they did
Okay.
a study. This was actually a study that
Too
was
many
done.
of them. Too many of them to actually mention.
Here's the
Because
question about
you've got to be
Paul,
flavor of the month with
Here's the
him.
question. Here's the question I have for you though. How can you say I destroyed you when I just put you on national television and gave you some type of exposure? Because now you have a value that most independents never really can actually achieve. I just put you on cable television. No matter how I can be Red Rooster, freaking Red Rooster, right? But guess what? That man was in a pay-per-view. Freaking, I got a homeboy down the street named Chris's Gladiators, right? Oh, genetic freak. No one knows who he is, but they know who the hell the Red Rooster is.
Yeah, let me make two real quick points. They did a study on professional wrestling, and they determined that 87%, 5 of 6 people, do not get booked properly the first time or by the first major company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say proof of that of when they brought over WCW, there's only one guy that survived, and he didn't even make it. They had to change him up a couple times, and that was Booker T.
Yeah. And the sad thing was Booker T was so over, they could have main evented him with any of the WWE champions, and he, you know what I mean? His time was now when he went there.
Yep.
They should have capitalized on that.
They started out hurting him by talking about his criminal past.
Yes.
And that hurt him for several years. And point number 2, Half Past Black says it exactly right. When I interviewed with Vince McMahon, I told him my dream was to do one pay-per-view. I could do the George Wells 9-second squash. I wouldn't care. My name was on a pay-per-view. But unfortunately, Vince is very business, and he said if I do it for one military person, I'd have to do it for all that are in the wrestling business, and I respected that.
Yeah.
But George is correct. There are guys out there on the indie scene who are incredible. I will even put myself in that list. I've made PWI 500.
Look at Matt
Cardona. I never made it to the E. No one knows who I am.
Yeah, but look at Matt Cardona. Look at him.
Yep.
As freaking Zack Ryder, he was nobody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Come on, bro. He is electrifying. This dude has went to every different freaking federal. Been putting on killer matches and has a badass gimmick and does his own thing. And I mean, he's created his own buzz, his own legacy outside of WWE. You know, and it was all because he was a nobody.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, right, you had superstars like AJ Styles. You had superstars like Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, people who had made their name prior to
They
going in.
made their names prior. War Machine, aka the Viking Raiders, made their name before. Each and every one of them has been watered down so much because of Vince McMahon.
And a lot of that has to do with the television. That's what hurts a lot of the performers is if you don't, when you come to the E, it's all about advertising. It's not just your talent level, is do the sponsors care about you?
Are you marketable?
A lot of these guys don't know how to fix that because all they care about is themselves. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura Took about a year and a half before they caught on. Shinsuke, longer. It took him about 4 years to catch on. And he caught on because the guy came out with playing air guitar to his music. That's how Shinsuke caught on. So thank Rick Boogs, who got cut recently, who started out as Joseph Average.
Who had a fantastic look. Fantastic look.
But after he got hurt, he never got back in the role. Kerry Von Erich, huge name in Texas. Big time. Drug problems, came to the E, could not connect.
Yep.
So he's the most prime example of a big fish in a small pond.
Well, see, here's another thing I want to point out with this. Like, I want y'all to all remember this. Like, there's a difference between public and private. And everyone is so engulfed with the Attitude Era. Back in the Attitude Era, only person money that Vince McMahon was messing with was his own money. When you become public, I have to think about everyone else's best interest. Because let's be completely honest with you. You can make a lot more money spending the rest of your life selling freaking merch off of WWE versus me going on the indies and working for 20 years. And seriously, no insurance.
I agree with you on that. You go to WWE, you sell your merch. You can guarantee that you're going to get more money from that than you are on the indie circuit. I totally agree with that.
I think a prime example of somebody who really came off of smaller shows and became a big fish, and not even as a wrestler, was Jerry the King Lawler. Vince McMahon knew that guy could talk. So what did he do? He put him with Jim Ross. And we all know, regardless of what people think, that was one of the most stunning combinations of an announce table that you ever have in professional wrestling. And Jerry Lawler was a world heavyweight champion, people. And he became he became a world-class announcer beside Jim Ross. And I'm telling you, that's one time I agreed with this man. I'm like, my God, keep him on the table, because he was just magic with Jim.
Yeah. I think Jerry Lawler, I think he won a total of almost 120-something championships.
Yeah.
Over 5 decades.
Most of his titles, yes, he started wrestling in 1971, I think it was. But most of the title belts he's won are in his own company in Memphis. But yes, he is a former AWA world champion. So he was a great mind behind the counter too.
Yes. Look at Michael Hayes. He's still producing matches for WWE today. And guess what? Back in the 80s, that guy was hated because of his mind. The promoters didn't want to hear what Michael Hayes had to say. And now look at him. He is one of the major producers for WWE storylines.
He was god-awful in the ring, but a great mind.
He was. And I'm going to tell you what, even Terry Gordy couldn't make Michael Hayes look good. And Terry Gordy was a beast.
And then you're looking at but then you're saying about that, you could go the other way as well with okay,
put it this way. Look how many people he made that had no talent.
Yeah,
the Ultimate Warrior.
Warrior
had no talent.
None. Zero. Nada.
Let me interrupt for just a second, because we are joined backstage by the current reigning defending Soulfire champion, Mr. Johnny Blade. Welcome, sir.
What's going on, gentlemen? How you guys doing?
Like I was just about to say, look at Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Overzealous on the old business side. But damn, Carney makes stars.
Yeah, obviously he did. I mean, come on. Listen, Stone Cold, Eddie Guerrero, Brock, all those are people that Paul Heyman saw. Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit. You
got to remember, Rey Mysterio was one of Paul Heyman's biggest finds.
Yeah.
And he fed him to WCW.
The only problem Paul had was the money. He had the mindset for it.
Just no money.
If he had Tony Khan's pockets, honest to God, Matter of fact,
Hey,
he actually told
Hey
me
George,
one time.
if they could have paid them in food stamps, they might have stuck around a little longer because at least they were going to eat.
Yeah.
I'll say this about Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did not learn to manage properly in front of the camera until ECW.
Yeah.
It took
Right.
him running his own company to figure out how to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Well, he
In
got
front of the
shit canned twice in
dangerously, he
WCW.
was awful.
And you mentioned about Rey Mysterio and all that. You forgot well, in my view, one, if not the biggest tag team that he actually managed, being the Dudleys.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Very true. If I could,
dispute that.
just a second, Johnny Blaze being the newcomer to the show tonight, I would like to pose you this week's burning question, which kind of ties into what we've been talking about in a roundabout way. But
I never liked your burning questions. You always put me on the spot with them. But let's try it again. Let's do it. Come on.
do you think that a territory system could work today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like that question. I think it could if it's done right. But you know, with the way wrestling is now, I don't really see people cooperating, I guess you can say, like the newer guys. I know they probably don't want it that way, and you know, I don't care either way. I think it would work if it was done right, if the right people did it, you know, things like that. That's the era I grew up in, you know, in Houston. I was a Houston wrestling guy, Paul Bosch. You know, anybody look at Paul Bosch, if you don't know who he is, one of the best Houston promoters ever, and that's the wrestling I came up on. So I'm going to be biased and say I wish the territory system
worked with OVW.
Huh?
What's that?
What'd you say about Jim Cornette?
AEW.
We got one more backstage. Storyteller's about to bring him on.
Has actually worked with OVW.
Okay. We are joined backstage by Sergeant Chaos. Welcome to the show, sir. This week's question: do you think that a territory system could work in today's atmosphere?
Is this like as if WWE had not ever existed and was still, you know, a thing of the past, or what?
Today.
Well, if they didn't exist, there would be a territory system probably still.
Yeah. You know, the same kind of business model, but in a modern world with social media and everything.
I mean, it could to a degree. I mean, because you got like I heard Blackheart mentioning earlier. I mean, you've got groups like OVW and all these other smaller groups that are still around, still surviving. They're not as widely known as, you know, today as they were back then, because a lot of people were like, oh, it's just WWE or it's AEW, and there's a bunch of people who don't know about the smaller groups, but shows like Netflix series Wrestlers has made OVW famous again. They brought them back into that limelight, and they're giving them some new life, so to speak. So I mean, it's in theory it could.
I think it's actually punishing it. I'll be honest with you. I think putting a company like OVW up under the spotlight of Netflix is actually punishing that company now, because territories were meant for you to learn your craft, not in front of 10,000 people, but in front of 10 people. Like, you learn to work a crowd in a territory. You learn to get your gimmick and get it right. Like, the whole reason you have Stone Cold Steve Austin is because he went to a territory system. Whole reason we have an Undertaker, we went to a territory system. You learn what you can and can't do as you come up. When the light's shining on you so bright, come on, man. Not like, come on. Like, yeah, it's great that you got 10,000 fans now, but now I ain't got no chance to really mess up and then get it right.
Yep.
But OVW don't go around for 10,000 fans.
But
the
now
way
they're on Netflix now. How many of you think watch that show? I guarantee it's more than 10,000 people. They're on Netflix now.
Well, and today's wrestling has actually changed the way the booking thing is looked at. In the old days, Johnny, you know this, and old school, you know this, the original term, the curtain jerker. That used to be your guys that were no longer doing the 10 people show, 15 people show. That was when people were still trying to buy tickets. They put that first guy out there to see if they even could handle it. That's all changed now. Now your third best match is your opener, your curtain jerker. You know, the way booking is done has changed because there's no longer a territory system.
Now, here's my question. Do you think a territory system could work via promo?
I actually talked about that earlier. I don't think it ever worked because your problem is different owners, different judges, different thoughts. Like I would say this, okay? Me, George, Storyteller, all of us, we go over to, I'm going to make up an organization so we don't call nobody out, AOI, whatever the hell, okay? We go over there. Over here, we're dominant figures. Over there, the owner may have seen us over here and said, they're okay. They're not my cup of tea. But he's going to let us come over there because we're activity. We keep the page live. But you're never, ever really going to get over because he's got his guys that he's like, they're my front runners. They're the ones I believe can be my champions. They're the ones that have carried my banner. You know what I mean? So I think the ego of the owner would come before saying, okay, Half Past Black right now is the hottest thing on the market. We want to make him our traveling world champion. One or two of those groups going to go, no way, not happening, never going to do it. Nope. My guy's better.
Old school brings up
I
a really
agree
good
with old school.
But you're saying that, right? Old school. Look at HSP.
That's what I was just about to say. We've had guys here who've been world champions in other places. Jay Briggy is a fine example. Jay Briggy's a hell of a performer. Here, he never caught on with our judges. It wasn't like we didn't book him to be around the main event picture.
Right.
The judges didn't get him.
It's always a different feel in different organizations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Judges are different in different
It's a
places.
different dynamic in different places.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
I wasn't going to put that part over. What I was going to put over is, as Mr. Mayhem can vouch for me, how many different companies have been on HSP?
6, 5 and us, so 5 others.
Championship.
And have they worked in harmony? Yes.
So,
Sort
no,
of,
I
yeah.
agree with that.
no.
I highly disagree because I'll tell you this right now. I've won 25 world titles in 25 different organizations, and a couple of them hit me up and said, I don't know how you ever won the HSP Pure Heart title because we've had guys go over there and they just couldn't get over. It's called you adapt to the judging system. You adapt to your surroundings. You adapt with the people you promo with. And some owners will not adapt to change. They will not.
I see. Now, here's my question though. Here's another question. So if you have a feeling as if you can't reach the judges or the judges aren't connecting, is it your fault, or could it be the judges, or could it be a better way that we can present our side of the story to the judges?
I think it could come from both ends. You know what I mean? I agree with you there. Maybe we need to have in organizations a liaison that somebody can hit up and say, okay, hey, Half Past Black, man, I lost last week and I don't get it because I've been winning everywhere else. And you can say, okay, let's watch your promo together. Let's see what the judge's feedback was. And this is what I can give you, my advice, because I've been in HSP. I've won an HSP. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think
And
you got to reach
different
out and
judges like
give the
different
olive
things.
branch when new people
Yeah,
come
well-
here from different organizations.
Okay. Well, when you what you're virtually saying is, as a promo universe, there's a beach ball effect.
And hang on, Storyteller was trying to make a point here. He's the host. Let's let him make his point.
I was just going to say, let's cut the commercial and pay some bills real quick.
All righty, that's a point.
Fuck those commercials.
And we'll discuss this a little bit more, maybe hit on fine leather. All right. Time to pay some bills.
Go on then.
Bills sufficiently paid.
Bills pay. Go to Redbubble, get all of your customized promo merch. All right.
Hey, I have my own customized promo merch.
Yeah,
Pardon me,
me
guys.
too.
I'm going to take a shot of banana pudding moonshine, if you'll excuse me.
Nice.
Like I was saying beforehand,
I may live in
you're
the
looking at
South,
a
but I
beach
still
ball
can't do
effect.
that banana
Ooh,
pudding
that's
stuff.
good. That is
You're
good.
looking at a beach ball effect. Say half past black is across the road from me. I'm saying that the beach ball's green. Half past black is saying it's red. Then old school comes along and goes, no, it's yellow.
It's blue.
Who's right?
Purple.
Who's right? We all are, to a certain degree, until you actually look above and you realise that it's all them colours and more. Because it's all down to perspective.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that, but what I'm saying is that sometimes, like, one of my problems personally is I feel like a lot of people get butthurt when it comes to getting constructive criticism. Like,
I agree.
you want to know why something didn't work right, and you want to know, but you have to be willing to freaking listen. Like, every time I have a match, I legitimately reach out to Mayhem. I'm like, hey, bro, I need to look back at my match. Whether I win, lose, or draw, how can I do better? It's always,
true.
how can I do better?
And I always
You know?
answer it too.
Yeah, and I sometimes it might hurt my fucking feelings, right? But you know what? It's the price that I pay for the game that I play.
Honestly. And if you can't take the constructive criticism, then you're in the wrong game.
Exactly.
You know?
100% wrong place if you can't handle it. 'Cause
Like,
I'll tell you. I mean, just for 1 second. You know how many times in different places that I've competed in that I've gotten, feedback that I did not like. That like Half Past Black said, it kind of got me up in my feels for a minute, and it kind of irritated me. But then I took a look back at it. I stepped back and I look at it from a different angle. I'm like, you know what? They're right. I need to change this. I need to change this. I need to reinvent my wheel and do it this way.
precisely.
A lot of people, since doing that, a lot of people have come to me, on the side and said, "Hey, I've noticed you're doing a lot better. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's turning out great. You're steadily improving. You keep moving. You keep moving in that positive direction, upwards instead of downwards or backwards, or however you look at it."
Yep, like our host. He can tell you how long I've
was
been doing
originally
this.
designed to be, because me and Quack, when we originally came up with this idea, our goal was to bring everybody up together with the constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Like, in some of the places we've been, we would hear, "Oh, you'll get the notes," and then they never got the notes. We make sure the notes go out. And I think some other companies do that now because we started doing that.
A lot
And
of them have.
we would tell people, I will say that Ivan Rage, the late great Ivan Rage, was a prime example of, we had to fix his mindset. He used to chase the judges. Whatever the judges said last show was what he would make his current promo to be. Well, you can't guarantee you're going to get the same judges every time. We kept telling them, be true to you, be true to your character, and take the things they tell you to make that character better. Don't chase the judges.
Blend it all together.
And I don't want to open that can of worms, but the storyteller did say he wanted to talk a little about Fine Leather. He is the host. Let's let him take the show.
The show is tomorrow. I was just, I'll just open it up. I know Johnny Blade, you got a match. I know Half Past Black has a match. I know I have a match. I don't have the card in front of me. Does anybody else?
I have a match.
I have the card. What matches do we want to talk about? So people here on the show, on the Pulse? Yep. All right. Well, let's start off. Prince Blackheart, there's an 8-man tournament to determine Old School's next number one contender. So I know he's watching this tournament with great intent, but we've got Prince Blackheart, and he's taking on Rich Mann of the Bolster Group
Correct.
because Rich Man wants to hold the Heathen accountable for doing contracts, and he hasn't had his one mandatory match. So that's how Rich Man got involved.
Hmm. Well, Rich Man. What can I say about Rich Man? Apart from being slimy as they come, because let's face it, what is Rich Man? What is it?
He's rich as a white man.
It's another
He's
name for a
not.
lawyer. You know what lawyers are good for?
Nothing. I'll
Anchor.
damn
What
thing.
is he? He's a
Anchors for
moron.
boats.
That's what he is. Prince Blackheart, you better win that match. I'm telling you right now. The fact that you beat me and you swept me like a piece of dirt on the kitchen floor, the fact that you did that to me, you better go out and beat Rich Man, or I'll come up to wherever you live. I'll fly overseas and come see you myself. Then, of course, we'll probably have us a pint together, and that'll be fine. But hey, please beat Rich Man and just, you know, he gets on my nerves.
Well, if you do ever come over, you can always have some of this.
Oh,
Osbach.
yes, indeed.
Oh, I thought that was some daggone that moonshine pudding.
But yeah,
I got some of that too.
yep. Mayhem is right. He is nothing but a contracted lawyer. What are they good for? Getting people mixed up in their own hallucinating words and basically screwing them out of money.
Yeah.
They
You
make
bring a promo like you did against me,
to
and you'll
make them
win.
rich, to make
Speaking of Rich Man,
they're leeches.
A-List Alverson has got a match with Half Past Black. I'm a little interested in how that goes.
What a
Still
match!
half us, but you're
Oh, jeez, he's still talking.
your past record just put it slightly against you.
Aw, that's so cute. But you know what? I would never forget this as long as I live. I turned in half of a damn promo, and I still got one vote on your ass. Okay, that was half of a promo against you. So that made me half of what I can deliver versus a full. Come on, man. I ain't worried about this. I don't struggle with weight, baby. I just lift.
And Half Past Black is also a prime example of what we said before about learning what Old School said. You have to learn and adapt to the judges. It took him a little while. But you know what? Once he figured it out, the very first perfect score in Heart and Soul, Half Past Black.
Oh yeah, I know.
It
I know.
wasn't A-List Alverson. Sorry, Storyteller, your tag partner. It was the Storyteller. It was Half Past Black at the first perfect score.
And I will always take my hat off to him for that.
Yeah.
'Cause that weren't no easy feat.
If you wore a hat,
Oh, I do.
All right, so what
I
else we
do.
got on this card, y'all? What else we got?
Well, we've got another number one contender qualifier match. We got the Sarge. He's taking on AEP.
Oh,
That's
that's
gonna
gonna
be
be
an
a good
interesting
one.
one. That's gonna be
Yeah.
an interesting one for me.
I agree with HTB. Yeah.
That one's already over. That game's already won.
He ain't playing that shit no more. So the chaos. So he ain't playing with y'all no more.
You go ahead on, Sarge.
That game's already won, man. That dude. I don't even know how to tell you this other than to say that he's a lot like a fucking bottle of shampoo. It's rinse and fucking repeat. Put it on, wash it off. Put it on, wash it off. It's the same
Can we say
fucking
that?
shit.
Hey, whoa! Can we say the F word on this show?
Yes, we
Apparently
can.
we can.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
Here's my biggest problem with
I
that
think it's
matchup.
GD you're not allowed to
AEP's not
say.
even concentrating on Sarge. He's worried about the Heathen. So
He
Sarge,
made-
Sarge has got the edge on that one.
100%. I'm going with Old School on this one. Dude made a 6 minute and 41 second promo. 4 minutes and 30 something seconds. He wasted his breath on the damn Heathen.
You sure it
Here
wasn't
I
more
am
than that?
standing here, right here.
And
Here I
my
am. I got a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes tops.
Yep.
AAP, if you want to learn how to hype, go back and watch me and Half Past Black hype for our tag team match a month and a half out. We'll show you how it's done.
Mhm.
AEP one time did a 9-minute and 43-second hype.
Yeah.
Holy mother.
It's kind of his thing, you know.
That's two promos back to back.
Like
That could be the
me,
cure for
Three.
your insomnia.
Or three,
My-
maybe even.
So
my
we do have
motto
two
on that
more.
match is tell me when it is,
Yep.
and I'll go to the toilet.
We got two more number one contender qualifier for this tournament. We've got the Boss taking on brand newcomer in his debut, Mason Blade.
No
No
relation, to me.
relation to Johnny Blade.
I don't know. Y'all could look alike, man. I've seen this guy in action. Okay.
Hey, don't
Mason
start with me.
Blade.
We can go another
Mason
round.
Blade is not to be slept on. Okay, hear me out. All right.
Mhm.
It's not. Listen. As the Boss would like to say, but he can't say it because he apparently cannot pronounce his word. It's not personal. It's just business. Okay.
As of right
Here's
now,
the thing.
though, I'm telling
He's-
you,
he's
with
an
the
unknown.
boss of Mason Blade's going to go down like a fat kid on a seesaw. He's going down hard and fast, and he ain't coming back from that.
I don't know, man. He's an unknown. You know, there's unknowns can sneak up on you. He could have the promo of his life against the Boss. So I hope the Boss.
He better hit a 1 in a million tonight that night, or he's going to get buried. 1 in a million. He's got one chance.
And I will say this last one got a whole lot more interesting with the announcement of Rich Mann that Heathen is owned by the cartel as well as the Reunited Nation, because we have the Purge taking on Mr. Wallace in the fourth match of this 8-man tournament.
That's another interesting match.
Yeah.
Wallace.
See,
Sorry, Wallace. I have faced Purge and I have faced Mr. Wallace.
and
Mr.
you all
Wallace.
see both.
He's the harder one of them both.
I think Mr. Wallace could be on his deathbed, pull the plug, and he'd still beat the Purge.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Purge is one of those enigmas. Dude, he's literally the most interesting guy I've ever seen, especially when it comes to like across seas. Like there's no telling what you're gonna get with him sometimes. Like piss ants and ass clowns, and like, it's just no telling. So I don't really know where to go with it. Like I'm personally going for Mr. Wallace, but I won't be surprised if Purge pull out something unique because he's Purge.
Yeah, I feel like Wallace is a forest fire, and the Purge needs the magnifying glass for the sun to hit it just right to catch it on fire. So
Yeah.
you know, I think Wallace wins that one. That's just my opinion.
All righty. And the storyteller gets to take on Shady Sean McKenzie.
That's gonna be a fun
No,
match
this
right
is-
there.
That's
Do you
gonna
mind
be
if
good.
can I say something about that match? Let me start if you don't mind. I'm sorry. I don't want to just cut in line, but that's going to be very interesting because I mean I'm not really a fan of Shady per se, but storyteller, if you don't quit focusing on Vagabond, I don't think you're going to do very well against Shady. No offense, I am a fan of you. I love watching your work, but let me get done with Vagabond. If he happens to defeat me, which he won't for this championship, you'd have your shot at that, of course. But that's not going to happen.
Get in line.
So I'm not looking past McKenzie. He's square in my sights. I know what I'm going to do. I know how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to execute. But at the same time, this is just a chapter in
There you
the
go.
continuing.
Get him in the crosshairs.
Storyteller. So, and
Now, for me, this match is going to be the most interesting.
Here.
I think Shady comes out and has to prove something because of his loss to me. But I think, if y'all want me to be honest, I think Storyteller is going to get him. I think I shook his confidence a little bit, so I think I gave Storyteller a gift. I think Storyteller is fine. He's focused. Yeah, you know what? I talk about everybody because there's 8 people coming after me, and I'm focused on all 8 of you. Believe it or not, I can multitask really good and chew bubble gum at the same time. But
All right, Riley.
I think Storyteller's doing the same thing. I think he knows Vagabond's waiting in the wings, but I think at the same time he's got Shady dead sights ready to lock and load.
All
I
right,
don't
and then
know.
the last one, our main event, the Soulfire champion, as he just mentioned, Johnny Blade defending against the #1 contender, the Vagabond.
See, that's gonna be a tough one for me to call. Seriously,
Yeah.
because
Johnny's got that.
The judges weren't very kind to either Vagabond or myself the last time, but I understand with Prince Blackheart because Prince, again, I've said this 10 times and I will say it for the 11th. You kicked my ass. But I will say this, I want a rematch, and I will get Mr. Mayhem, please. If I get by Vagabond, I think Prince Blackheart deserves a title shot. At
Well,
least
let's see
give me
what
another.
Prince Blackheart does in the 8-man tournament first before we talk about a rematch.
You're right. But anyway, Vagabond, I got this. I will defeat Vagabond. So you all can pick Vagabond if you want, but I will not let this. I'm not losing my first title defense.
Well,
Like old
even
school
if I
said, it's the
don't-
most important match when you're the champion. It's hard enough to win the championship. It's even harder to hang on to it. Isn't that right, old school?
Listen, being the predator is one thing, but when you're the prey, there's so many big predators out there ready to take your championship. I don't call myself the Pure Heart champion legitimately until I win my first title defense because it's not the title that makes me. I've got to make the title by showing
Absolutely.
I've earned it and I deserve it.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, Blackheart. You go ahead.
But when it comes to my former opponent, it doesn't matter if I get past this tournament or not. I know why I whitewashed you
Because you kicked my ass.
because you went at 100%.
maybe you was on speed that night.
Possibly.
Maybe he
I
drank too
smoked a
much
little
banana
too much.
pudding.
Maybe I had a little too much ganja, too much of the Mary Jane.
Still saucy.
But when it comes to that title, I do not want that title if you get past Vagabond until I
Win.
beat you 100%.
That's a declarative statement.
You're
I
100%.
can't wait for the rematch.
So rematch, I am more than willing to be up for.
I don't
You
know,
hear
I
that,
owe
Mr.
you an
Mayhem?
ass whooping. I owe Prince Blackheart an ass whooping in HSP soon, so you might have to get in line because I've been owing that man an ass whooping for 3 years.
I want a rematch with Half Past Black as well in the future as well.
Hell
Yo,
no.
half-ass Black said I owe him an ass whooping.
Help. Here's an idea for you. How about making it a triple threat?
Let's go.
I don't have 3 ways no more. My old lady won't let me.
Put me in there with
Menage a
anybody.
trois,
I'm ready to
triple
go.
threat.
Two men and a female.
Oh, shit.
Now, the one I want is that guy with the title on his shoulder over there. I want him truck for truck.
Well, damn.
I got one right out in the driveway that'll make you fucking cringe.
Thanks. Okay.
I've actually got 2. I just bought another one.
I got my 2015 F-150 and then I got a 1989 GMC Sierra regular cab 1500.
Quit showing off. I'm over here with my Toyota Camry.
My
Yeah,
VA has pulled that Camry in half.
Yeah, I know.
My 90 is 4-way airbag, 4-linked. You know, it's pretty stiff. It's pretty nice
If I'm
ride.
running a ditch, I'll call you guys to pull me out.
Anyway,
Sam,
folks,
I'm going to get to the end.
I think we pretty much covered leather. We've kind of talked at length about the burning question of this week. We brought up some very interesting points.
And never name a pay-per-view Fine Leather again.
Sorry about that.
Don't ever
Just
do
to
that shit
explain the reason I called it Fine Leather, it was a bad choice, but the third anniversary gift is leather, and it was the only thing I could think of. So it was not a great name. I could have called it Corinthian Leather,
You
but
could have called someone else to name it.
So blame me for the bad name for the show.
Yeah,
No,
you could've called someone
I
else
actually
to name it.
like it because you got the 2 championship belts on the same PPV, and whoever wins it is going to have a nice bit of
And
fine
the tag champs are in singles
leather.
competition as well, so all the titles appear on the screen.
So whoever wins them are going to have a nice bit of fine leather.
Ah, yes.
From fine China.
So it was
Can I
a
address? Hey, before we go, do you mind if I address something real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Heathen. You know, I just saw it yesterday. He dropped it 2 days ago. This guy goes into retirement. I guess he realizes it bothers him that I'm the Soulfire champion, or I guess this cartel contract, whatever it is. I don't get into their business. That's their business. And then he decides to come out of retirement. The first video he drops, the whole video is about me for some reason. This guy's obsessed with me. Well, let me tell that motherfucker something right now.
Whoa!
I want Heathen in a match ASAP. I want Mayhem to do whatever you got to do to sign, because I want to face the Barry Horowitz of HSP in a match like right now. But you know, obviously it won't happen now because that
Hey,
guy's
look.
coming on here and he's just smashing me, and for what? Calling me a fraud. Why? Is he jealous? What is he jealous about? Is he upset
Yeah.
because he's teaming with the Purge? Is he upset
It's your
because he's been the Marty Jannetty of every single tag team he's been in?
Whoa!
You know, that guy doesn't need, what he needs to do is he needs to leave me alone, leave my name out of his damn mouth. And he needs to maybe win a few more matches. Now, granted, his match with Hollywood Haywood was huge. What a victory against Hollywood Haywood. Huge. Win a couple of more, and then come see me, and then you can challenge for this, you stupid white trash motherfucker.
Woo!
Who thinks you're a one-trick pony?
Damn, it got hot in here.
We are definitely getting a little warm around here.
Warm
Well,
around
no,
here.
Storyteller, take us home.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's all good.
It was that's a great way to punctuate the show.
Thank you. Fuck you. Goodbye.
I guess that's about it for this week's episode of The Pulse. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to everyone sharing the screen with me now. Tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central.
6 p.m. Central, 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Fine Leather. I am the Storyteller. This has been this week's episode of The Pulse, and I'll see y'all next time.
See y'all tomorrow.